Are you an Amazon seller and not using Google Ads to drive traffic to your Amazon listing? Well, if that's the case, you're missing out on one of the biggest opportunities out there to improve rank and to launch products on Amazon. The good news, this video today walks through a 13-step process for using Google Ads to rank and launch your products. Let's do this. I've built and led multiple seven-figure Amazon brands. Now, I'm setting out to share how I did it, with radically transparent and detailed weekly videos. Join the journey with me and break free. Welcome to Heist. Hey guys, welcome to Heist, H-E-I-S-T, where we cover all things Amazon FBA, looking at deep dive content for how you can take your brand to 6, 7, 8, hey, why not, maybe even 9 figures. So the topic of today is going to be Google Ads. More specifically, how you can use Google search ads to rank and launch your products and to continually drive traffic and sales to your Amazon listing. I'm a firm believer that the launch playbook is changing. Facebook ads, ManyChat rebates, while you can still do them, I think is going to slowly become a thing of the past in terms of what most successful Amazon sellers are doing to launch, rank, and long-term drive traffic and sales to listings. The new playbook, building your audience, building your launch list, and equally importantly, driving really strategic Amazon pay-per-click traffic in addition to external sources outside of Amazon to your listing. So this series, we're going to look at Google, we're going to look at Pinterest, probably going to dive into YouTube, but the focus of today's session is Google Ads. So let's hit it. So Google Ads is one of the largest ad platforms in the world. In fact, it is a precursor to even Amazon pay-per-click and what folks have used really since the late 90s to drive e-commerce sales and traffic. But up until really the last couple of years, most Amazon sellers, mainly because they're lazy, mainly because they didn't need to do it, have refused or avoided getting into Google Ads. That ends today, as I'm going to arm my audience and all of you with a very quick and easy method for launching Google Ads for your Amazon brand. So let's dive right in. Today's session is all about the quick, nitty-gritty level of detail that you need to be able to execute ads for your Amazon brands. I'm not an expert in Google Ads, but you don't need to be an expert either. This is a quick tutorial, should last about 30 minutes on how you can kind of end-to-end, step-by-step, set up the basic campaigns that are going to unlock success, drive benefit using the Amazon algorithm to your listing. This method could be used for launches, it can be used for ranking, and it can be used for ongoing maintenance if you want to continually drive sales, traffic, and performance to your Amazon listing even after you've launched and ranked your product. The key thing here is a lot of people are afraid to drive external traffic from Amazon because they're worried about conversion rates. We know that Amazon as a platform has wildly successful conversion rates in the world of e-commerce. The average conversion rate in e-commerce is 3% typically. If you're really good, 5%. It's not uncommon for us as Amazon sellers to have 15, 20, 25, even 30% conversion rates depending on the category. You're not going to get those conversion rates when you're driving external traffic. So a lot of people feel like that's going to negate the benefit and Amazon's actually going to penalize you because you're driving lower converting traffic. Don't believe it. Amazon loves external traffic, as we'll go through in some of the pros here. So the external traffic benefit will far exceed any negative impact of a lower conversion rate. So don't let that be something that stops you in terms of diving into Google Ads or any external traffic source. Starting off with some of the pros. First, Amazon loves and rewards external traffic. In one of my most recent videos, I did a deep dive into the privacy data on my personal account that Amazon has on me. One of the tags that they look at, which is incredibly interesting, is it tags sources of traffic outside of Amazon that come to Amazon to shop. Equally important, they don't only know the source, which in this case is google.com, they also know if it came from an ad. And I'm willing to guarantee that when you're sending external ad traffic to your Amazon listing, Amazon likes it because you're sending shoppers to their site that aren't already on it. And they're going to reward your listing and ranking accordingly. So they love external traffic. Second, much like Amazon as an e-commerce platform, Google Shopping ads and Google AdWords in general, you can hone in on buying intent. So these aren't customers that are just trying to learn about a particular product that don't even know what it is. They're not in the early phases of awareness. These are buyers that are further down the funnel, looking to transact, buy, and shop. And you're tapping into that buying mindset and leveraging them for your Amazon listing to convert. Second, in terms of product discovery, Amazon is the largest product discovery search engine in the US and in most Western countries. Google is not too far behind. Almost 50% of folks that are looking at products, trying to make a buying decision, doing research, figuring out what brand they want to buy, figuring out what product they want to buy, almost half of those searches originate on google.com. So this strategy harnesses that research, that buying intent, that shopping behavior that is really critical to convert e-commerce sales. The next benefit is it's easy to set up. Unlike most ads, you don't need to cut a video, you don't need graphics, you don't really need to be that intelligent, to be honest. I'm definitely not. This is just simple keywords, simple copy, which we'll get into in this video, so stay through to the end because I'm going to map out exactly the copy that we use. They're pretty easy to set up. There's also lots of free coupons. Most of the ad credits that are available give you like $100. I think the one that I've seen this week is $150. So there's a very easy, economical way for you to test this out, set it up, and throw $100 at it using the Google Ads credits, which we'll get into ways that you can get access to those credits for free. They're very similar to Amazon pay-per-click structure. So while the interface is different and you'll have to learn a couple things there, the structure is very, very similar to how you would execute Amazon pay-per-click. So if you can do Amazon pay-per-click ads and have done that before, it's not going to be a big learning curve for you to implement that knowledge and leverage the Google Ads structure and platform. Another benefit, you can use it initially just for launch. So if you want to just use it for a week or two when you've got a new product, or if you want this to be an ongoing thing where you're dripping traffic to your Amazon listing, it's really suitable for either one of those. So you can use it for launch or ongoing efforts. And then they work. I've seen it. I've tested it now across 4 or 5 launches. There's clearly a spike when you're driving external traffic and specifically the low cost per click Google AdWords traffic to your listing. You can test this for yourself, but I've definitely tested it. Others have tested it. These things work. And then finally, you're tapping into the trust of each platform. Buyers and shoppers trust Amazon.com. They know what they're going to get. They know they've got safeguards if they don't like the product that they purchase. Likewise, people that are looking on Google trust the platform. It's one of the largest in the e-commerce space. There's a reason why more than or almost 50% of product searches start on Google. It's because they trust the platform. So when you merge the trust of Google and you merge the trust of Amazon, you kind of take a lot of the guesswork out of what can really reduce conversion rates for most e-commerce sites. There are some cons. I'll list a couple of them quickly. No platform or strategy is perfect, and Google Ads certainly isn't. First, while it's a benefit in terms of ease of setup, the fact that there's no images and you can't use the product display ads within the Google network can, I think, impact buying behavior. Most people like to shop on the Google product display ads, which have photos and have some more rich information. You can use those for your Shopify site, but at this time, it's not something that you can activate and divert traffic to your actual Amazon listing. So it's a knock. One of the biggest ones is sales tracking and sales attribution. While Amazon is starting to stand up some tools so you can determine whether your ad spend is beneficial, driving traffic that actually converts into sales on the Amazon platform, it's really bad. It's really difficult to set up. I think it's probably in the coming 6 months we'll see more in this arena, but at this time it's really hard to attribute sales. So if you want to know precisely what $1 in turns into on the outside in terms of sales, it's difficult to do this. It's a clumsy interface, I would say. There's a lot of things I don't like about it. There's definitely a learning curve in terms of how they format certain things. So, you are going to lose some efficiency just not knowing the platform and just the fact that it's a little bit different. They also change it around a lot, which is kind of annoying. So I'm not a huge fan of the interface, but if you're just doing the basic level and just going in and diving out and not spending a ton of time in the platform, it's totally digestible. And then finally, you're going to have lower conversion than Amazon. So you just can't beat people that are actively on Amazon. They're Amazon members, they're likely Prime members, they're there to shop, they're typing in keywords. Because you're taking traffic from Google and then diverting it over to Amazon, there's going to be some loss in conversion just in terms of the kind of buyers, and the buying journey is a little bit less efficient than if you were on distinctly the Amazon.com platform from the start. So don't expect the exact same conversion rate. Key points here. I think a lot of people get it in their heads that unless I can be perfect at something, unless I fully understand every nook and cranny of it, I'm not going to do it. And then they get analysis paralysis and they don't execute. Use this video, take 20-30 minutes, go step by step, rewind it if you have to. This is a super easy process to set up. Don't let not being an expert hold you back from executing on this, because I know it's going to benefit you and I know it's going to benefit your Amazon listings and your Amazon business. I'm not an expert, as I mentioned, at Google Ads. That's not stopping me from understanding the basics of how to execute these campaigns and drive benefit to my Amazon business. So don't be scared of something new, first and foremost. Also realize that speed and execution is better than perfection. These might be 70%, good ads. I don't really care. 70% is good enough. I'd rather get it out quick, launch, test. This is the kind of attitude and mentality that's going to set you aside from other Amazon sellers who are either too lazy or who want to be perfect at something before they do it. Don't get caught in that trap. And then finally, know enough to be dangerous. You don't need to be an expert. You can have a basic level of understanding, and 70% knowledge of Google Ads is almost enough given the purposes that we're doing it. We're not running a Google Ads agency. We don't need to be experts. We don't need to do all the advanced stuff. The core basics are enough to be dangerous in this game. Okay, so the strategy, it's pretty simple. We want to take external traffic, in this case from Google and the Google Ads platform, which is buying intent traffic. We want to then feed that to our Amazon listing, get impressions on our listing from external traffic, and some of those will convert into sales, which will benefit the listing and drive revenue to your listing and to your Amazon brand. The process is pretty simple. There's a couple ways you can do this. One is just taking a Google Ads keyword, which we're going to get into how to set this up, and driving it either directly to your Amazon listing or using a ranking URL that goes to your Amazon listing. The second approach is to drive it to a landing page first, where you can pre-sell and maybe pre-frame customers and then kick them onto the Amazon listing. I don't use that approach, although it's one you can use. We don't get into that here. I'm just taking the Google Ads traffic and driving it straight to listing, but there's either of those approaches work, but we're going to focus on the first one. Okay, so let's get into the step-by-step process. It's 13 steps. As I said, if you do this right and you follow each one of these 13 steps with me here live, we should be able to do this in under 30 minutes and be off to the races and having a new cool strategy to drive benefit to your Amazon listing. Make sure you stay through to the end, because each one of these steps are important. I'm going to get into how you can track it, how you can optimize this process. So stick with me through to the end, but it's going to be quick, easy. You should be able to implement this real time live with me. Step number one, which goes without saying, you need to set up a Google Ads account. If you've got a Gmail address, this is pretty easy to set up. You can definitely use your brand or your business email as well and set these up. You can either go to ads.google.com and then there's a Start Now button in the top right. Or if you go to the bit.ly/Heist Google Ads link, I'm not getting a cut of this. It's not any benefit to me whatsoever. It's just to save you some money. You can get a Google Ads coupon, and they'll typically give you a credit. I think right now it's $150. They change this promotion. When you watch this video, it might be $75. It might be $100, but there will be some benefit to you if you go to that link. You click through. As of right now, it's $150. So if you go through that link and you click Start Now, it's going to automatically populate that dollar benefit to your account, so you can get your first week or so free if you go through that link. So just set up your account. Pretty simple to do. What it's going to try to do is it's going to try to walk you through this kind of, I would call it, beginner-friendly kind of interface, which is going to ask you a bunch of questions. I can tell you from experience, this is not the way you want to set things up. It's confusing. It'll get you sideways. The process we're going to use here is you're going to want to go down to the bottom here and go to this switch to expert mode. I promise you it's not confusing and it's not really expert, but this is a more effective way to set up your initial campaign. So when you get to this page, go to the bottom and click switch to expert mode. The second step is to define what your campaign goal is. Much like Facebook ads and some other ad approaches and platforms out there, you have a goal in mind. In this case, we're going to try to get sales. So click on that sales button. All these other ones, well, you can use them. You don't really need to worry about it in the case of Amazon traffic and ads. Some people do website traffic, even with Amazon ads, but I still prefer sales. So click the sales in the top left. The next, you're going to select campaign type. The one that you're really going to want to do here and that you can really run with Amazon is the search one. So all these other ones, display, shopping, those are ones we can use with the Shopify page. Maybe I'll do a video at some point in the future about that. Video is for the YouTube platform. So don't worry about any of these. We're collecting or clicking the top left search section for campaign type. The next thing it's going to ask you is a URL. Don't worry, we can change this later. What I recommend is you copy the exact URL of your listing live on Amazon, plug that in here. If you don't have that yet, just do amazon.com. It's totally fine. We can come back and edit this later, but I like to just plug in the actual ASIN URL here. The example I'm going to use today is one from the keyword research video, which is a gardening bag. So just for context, we're going to be focused on doing an ad for a gardening bag in this video today. 5 is campaign naming. Similar to Amazon, I recommend that you have a structure and a methodology and an approach to how you name your campaigns. The way that I like to do this is the first is to list the product. So in this case, I'd say gardening bag. You could also include the ASIN with that if you'd like. The next is to denote why you're using this campaign. So in this case, Amazon launch. If you're doing Amazon ongoing or Amazon rank, you can kind of denote that there. In this case, I've got Amazon launch is the next one. And then the last one is the search type as well as the method of the ad. So this campaign, as an example, is an exact campaign. So we're going to focus on exact words. And we're doing a Google search ad, which is basically text-based search. So set up your Google name. The location settings is important, especially if you're not from the US. It's going to default to the country that you're in right now with your IP address. So if you're in Australia or you're in Europe, you want to make sure that you're targeting the right audience on which marketplace you're looking to rank and or send traffic to for your Amazon listing. So in this case, I'm using an example of the United States. You're going to want to click on this locations option, which will open up, and it's going to be default selected as that first toggle. You're actually going to want to select this third one, which is people searching, and then I just select English. You can select all if you want, but I select English for this example. Step 7, you want to set your budget, and this is really going to ultimately be up to you. If you're doing a launch and say that launch where you want to drive traffic is 10 to 14 days, just assume what your daily budget's going to be and extrapolate that out, and that's the budget you should use. I generally speaking use between $10 and $50. If I want to get aggressive, I'll spend $50 a day. If I want to do like a light maintenance campaign, maybe I'll do $10 a day at it. In the example here today, I'm going to just kind of go down the middle and assume a $30 budget, but it's going to be up to you to calculate how much you actually want to spend on this. Here's the next important thing, and you don't typically want to go against these ad platforms because you typically trust their algorithms, but in this case, we're actually going to select a bid strategy. So they're saying not to recommend this. Sorry, Google. We're going to bypass you in this one and actually click that select a bid strategy directly. What I like to do is a manual CPC or manual cost per click where we can set the dollar amount. So do the drop down manual CPC. And then it's going to ask you about all these ad extensions. We are going to add some extensions later on, but at this step in the process, don't worry about that. You can leave that blank and then just click the save and continue button to move on from bidding. The next step it's going to kick you into, which is the ad group. The first one that we want to set up, and the most important one that we want to set up, is the exact match. You're going to have to name this. So I just say exact match 1 in case you have multiple exact match campaigns down the line. So just kind of denote that with a number. The default bid that I put in here is 1. So we can draw this down using bid automations, which I'll get to later on in the video. So stick around for that. But set that default bid for 1. And then it's going to ask you in this empty space here to add keywords. And there's a get keyword tool here, or you can kind of paste them in. We're going to walk through the strategy on keywords. The first step that you can do is to go in within the Google Ads platform and just type in Google Ads Keyword Planner. It's going to kick you in using that same login to a button here where you can discover new keywords. Click on that. And then what I like to do is just start with a root keyword that I think is the most highly relevant for the product that I'm sending traffic to on Amazon. In this case, it's a gardening bag. So I just typed in gardening bag. What Google Keyword Planner is going to do is it's going to list dozens or hundreds of different words related to that one. And then it's going to give you an idea on which ones you think are the most relevant for your brand. So you just kind of select garden bag here and then get results, or type in the word gardening bag and then click get results. And then it's going to populate this. What I like to do is I like to scroll down here on this keyword by relevance and just manually select all the ones that I think describe my product. There's going to be a lot of ones on here that aren't relevant. It's just not going to be related to your product. You want to make sure that you're focusing on the relevant ones because those are going to be the most likely to convert and it's going to be the most optimal for your budget. After you've selected them, and you might have 20, 30, 40, 50 words upwards and onwards from that, click this copy button here. And it's just basically going to copy to the notepad. And then I like to set up a Google Sheets where I can dump all the keywords into a Google Sheets. So step number 1 is going into the Google Ads Keyword Planner, dumping those copied keywords into a column so you've got them all there. The second thing I like to do, and this is referencing the keyword deep dive that we would have done before this took place, and you might even have some manual exact campaigns on Amazon running, is take all of those words that are highly relevant, that really describe your product, that you think are important for ranking especially, and also add those manually into that Google Sheets. You can also export your exact match pay-per-click campaigns from Amazon. You can take the words that you care about from that and also copy them in. It's going to look like this. You're going to have kind of a master keyword list here. It's going to include your Google Planner words. It's going to include words from your master keyword list that are highly relevant. And it might even include some manual exact search terms that you're also plugging into your Amazon pay-per-click campaigns. The other thing that's unique from just Amazon keywords that you can do here is there's lots of buyers that would shop for, say, like gardening bag on Amazon because they're not on Amazon, they're on Google. They might type that in. So you might want to include words like that. You might want to include words like highly reviewed gardening bag. So think about shopping type words or best gardening bag, other things like that are a little bit harder to plug into the Amazon platform, but since we're driving traffic externally, you can absolutely plug those in here. But once you've got this master list, I would kind of throw that in the far column. Critical point about Google Ads, which is one difference in the structure from Amazon pay-per-click campaigns. If you just leave these words as they are now, just typed out like that or copied in like that, as far as Google's concerned, when you plug those into the keyword section that I showed you earlier, that's going to be a broad match. So it's going to include a lot broader words than just the ones here. If you want to hone that down to phrase match keywords, you have to put quotations around this word here for it to be a phrase search. Now, this is really, really important because a lot of people might just copy these words in or copy the words in from the keyword planner, dump those into the ad campaign, and they think that they're good to go. If you want to focus on exact terms, which I think you should definitely focus on exact terms, you may only want to do exact terms and not focus on any of the other search types. You've got to put these brackets around the word. And in Google's platform, that means it's an exact search term. So if you want to do this yourself in an automated fashion using Google Sheets, again, dump in your master keyword list here. I set up a bracket here in column B1 and then an end bracket in C1. And if you look here, I've highlighted this row here. What you basically want to do is do number sign B, number sign 1, and, or the ampersand signal, that selected cell, another ampersands, and then $C, $1. And then when you drag that down, what it's basically going to do is it's going to take everything from this column A that's in your keyword master list. And when you draw that down in the exact brackets, it's going to add those brackets to all those terms. So you might have 100 plus words in this. It depends on the size of your campaign that you're doing here. It's very difficult to go in there and manually do that. So quick nitty gritty kind of hack, I guess you could say, in Google Sheets is to apply that methodology there. So, copy those into your exact campaign. You might just want to do one if you're just kind of kicking the tires and seeing how this goes, and just hit save. And then you've got, your first ad set kind of ready to rock and roll. The other thing it's going to do after you've done that is it can say add a new ad group. So if you select that button, it's going to let you populate a whole other one. So say you wanted to do a broad or a phrase campaign, or you wanted to break up your exact into multiple campaigns, you can do that by adding additional ad groups. So in this case, if I wanted to just do a broad match, I could add the ad group and then just copy in that whole column down there. And then I've got a totally different kind of search criteria in terms of ad group. Add text. This is probably where most of the sweet sauce is going to happen and most of your creativity and experimentation can take place. But it's going to ask you a bunch of things here. The first is the URL. You can either drive it directly to your listing and just copy your Amazon listing. That's what I've been doing a lot lately, just because I think that Amazon likes those direct shoot-offs. And I'm a little bit concerned about using Pixelfy and some of those other ranking URLs right now. But one step is just to drive it and just put your ASIN URL in there. The second is to use a ranking URL. So you can use Pixelfy, you can use Helium 10 gems in a canonical or brand or a bunch of different links from Helium 10 gems. Whatever the method is, plug in the core URL that when somebody clicks on this upper button up here, it's going to take them to that page. So decide whether you want a direct or a ranking URL. Then you've basically got 3 headlines that you can use. And this is headline 1 here, headline 2 there, and then headline 3 there. So it's got that kind of vertical dash that will separate each of the headlines. The first one that I like to do is to plug in the core keyword. In this case, it's a gardening bag. Or a little trick if you want to get a little bit fancier. And let's say we pumped in 60 keywords into that campaign. What you can do if you put this little bracket keyword colon, and then it's going to give you a drop down menu, and you can select the gardening bag here. Any keyword that they manually type in will show that keyword here in this headline. So this can be a dynamic setup if you want to get fancy, but it's not necessary. You could just throw in the most explanation based keyword that's most relevant to your product if you'd like to be simple. So in this case, that shows up as garden bag. Headline 2, I like to kind of throw some urgency. One of the cool things about Google Ads is you can get away with a lot in terms of what you can say and the promotional language you can use. They don't like it when you use all caps, and so they may reject your ad if you've got too much all caps. But you can get very, very promotional in nature with these the verbiage that you use here. So in this case, I do 24-hour launch special, 50% off. Again, to kind of drive that urgency and drive the discount that I like to use, especially at launch, where we've discounted the price off of what it will sell for maybe in the weeks or month ahead. And then the final one is, so in this case, let's say this is a $50 gardening bag and we're selling it for a launch price of $25, just $25 today only. Again, urgency, and then letting customers know what the price is, which will improve if they decide to click on this ad. It'll improve their conversion once they land on the Amazon ASIN. If they don't like the price, you don't want them clicking on this and going and hurting your conversion rate a little bit on the Amazon listing. The other cool thing that you can do here is the display URL that's shown here. You can customize this, so it doesn't need to be your exact URL. And you can use very sales-oriented copy in this. So in this case, it says amazon.com/bestselling is a word that I put in there, and then /gardening bag. So again, you can kind of customize each of these things. So if I'm shopping on Google and I see this, I'm thinking, hey, this is a best-selling gardening bag. I got a 24-hour launch special. It's 50% off. I like this. I'm going to click on it. So you can customize that. And then the description is this kind of area right down here. And you can do a lot more copy than I put in here. So you can definitely get more detailed if you've got more things to say. But generally speaking, I like to just put the brand first and then top rated gardening bag, again, using the most relevant search term, and then limited quantity available. Again, playing on that urgency concept. And then the second element that I like to do is just describing the different use cases that your product can be used for. So the shopper might be looking for a gardening bag, but there might be multiple uses that people could be looking for. You want to cover those with your description copy. So in this case, perfect for use 1, use 2, use 3, etc. And that shows up again right here underneath. So that's the core setup of your ad text. Once you click on the next button, since you've got a new, or assuming you've got a new Google Ads account, it's going to want your credit card info. If you've already got one set up, it's obviously not going to ask for this step. So you just throw in your credit card info. Once you click that through, it's going to say, boom, congrats, you're all done. But we're not quite done. If you remember, there was those extensions that they offered us up front that we kind of ignored and just went and save and continue. We're going to go back now and add a couple extensions, and I'll explain why we're going to do that here in a sec. So you're going to want to click this Explore Your Campaigns, which is going to kick you back into this core interface, which is like the summary interface within Google Ads. What you're going to want to do here is go to the Ads and Extensions dropdown, and then you're going to want to click on this Extensions, and then it's going to pop up this page right here. You want to hit that add or that plus button right there. That's going to pop open this set of options for you to select down here. The one that we're going to click is the site link extension, this first one here that's highlighted. Once you do that, there's 4 site linking extensions, and these are basically just call outs that people can also click on below your ad. So say they don't click on your top ad, you can add some other features that are clickable features below that core ad text that will again take them through to the Amazon listing depending on which URL structure you want to use. So the first one I use here is just like best selling garden bag. You can use best selling, you can use top rated. There's a lot of different language you may want to use here. In this case, I use best selling. And then you want to throw in a final URL when somebody clicks on that where they end up going. This is critical. It's not going to let you use the same link over and over and over. So in this case, you can't necessarily use that core listing URL for all these different links. So in this case, I go to the Helium 10 gems and go to the canonical URLs, and I just set up 4 different canonical URLs using different keywords that I want to rank for. You could do the same thing in Pixelfy. You can do the same thing in Seller Tools. There's lots of different options to generate links, but just know that each one of these site links is going to need to be a unique URL that you haven't used before. So the second one I do here is just shop gardening bags. And then again, a different URL. The third one is 2-day shipping. Again, since you're using the Amazon platform, you can call out that cool language that you're going to get the product fast. Again, and there's a different URL that we used here. And then the 4th one is free returns for 30 days. Again, Amazon offers this anyway, but why not call that out? Because these are Google shoppers that may not get those benefits shopping from somebody else's generic e-commerce site. And then again, a different URL there. So we've got 4 different site links that we've shown. Again, this is the helium10.com/gems. If you want to access this, I think it's free and you can generate these if you wanted to have some unique custom URLs for those 4 site links. And then this is what it looks like. So again, we had this language up here before. What those extensions do is they add these 4 different things. Each one of these, if somebody clicks on it, it's going to kick through using those canonical URLs to the listing and give us some keyword juice here. So just gives you more real estate, gives people more things to click on, and it gives you some additional promotional language that you can tap into to drive click-through rate. The final one that we add, and there's a bunch of other ones that you could if you want, is in the case of launches. If you're doing, in this case, we're selling the bag at a $25 launch price when it's going to be $50 in a couple weeks after launch, we can call out that actual promotional element. So if you look here, you just kind of go to add extension, go down to the promotions extension, create new, and then it just says here promotion type. So you can do dollar off, you can do percentage discount. There's all different kinds of selections. I did here a percentage discount of 50%. And then I just added this here, no coupon needed. So when they go through to the Amazon listing, they don't need to worry about using a coupon. We're just letting them know it's already been applied. And then again, we use a different final URL here. And so down here, this is the example. It's got your core headline like we had before. It's got the description. And then there's this cool little like coupon button here with this 50% off, no coupon needed. And if they click on that, it's going to take them through to this URL that you have here. So that's it, guys. 13 easy steps. This is something you can do in 20, 30 minutes. It's not rocket science. You can play with the verbiage. It doesn't need to be exactly what I had here, but this is a simple way. I know that those things work. The language I use works, and you're off to the races in under 30 minutes to get Google traffic. So what do you do next? Now that you've executed your ads, they're live, people are kind of clicking through. What do we do? You kind of want to do some tracking, and there's 3 different ways that you can do tracking. The first is Amazon Attribution, which is a platform tool available if you have brand registry, and we'll get into that one in a second. The second is campaign performance. So there's a whole dashboard within the Google Ads platform where you can look at some performance numbers. And then finally, you're going to want to watch the keyword ranking and keyword tracking within Helium 10 or your tool of choice to see how things are looking from a performance standpoint, especially at a launch. So this is what the Amazon attribution, if you just type in Amazon attribution in Google, you'll be able to click through and find this. I'm not going to go into this in depth for a couple reasons. One, I think that there's some kinks that need to be worked out within Amazon's platform, and there's some recent betas that I'm a part of and testing that I think are going to take this attribution to the next level, but it's super new and I need to kind of kick the tires on a little bit more. It's also really complex and clunky and not necessarily accurate right now. So stay tuned. I think within the next 6 months, this is going to get good, and Amazon definitely has this on their roadmap to improve. So when I do a separate video on Amazon attribution, once it's gotten better, I'll put a link down below. But as of right now, I'm not going to get in depth in this just because I don't think it's an effective use of your time to understand and implement Amazon attribution right now. The second thing that you can do, though, is to go within the Google Ads platform. First of all, there's a dashboard for the campaign, and this is a recent launch that I'll do a video on upcoming that we've got 785 clicks. There's the impressions here, the cost per click, and then I've spent $628. So this kind of shows since about the middle of August what I've been running on this latest launch campaign for a high ticket item that I think costs $100 now. It will be $150 post launch. And then it's got a couple campaigns here that shows the interaction rate, it shows the clicks, shows the average cost. So there's some campaign level data. And then if you click on those campaigns and you're doing, say, a broad and exact ad group, it can show you ad group data. So very similar to the Amazon pay-per-click platform. The key thing when you get into this ad group level detail is to look at your click-through rate. Unlike Amazon, where anything over 1% might be decent, in the case of Google Ads, you want to be seeing words that are like north of 4% typically. So this is an exact campaign. We're getting a 7.72% click-through rate. And then the broad campaign that we're testing is 3.3%, which is lower than I want it to be. So this is one metric where you can see how the ad groups are performing themselves. And then keyword data on Helium 10. I've got a link down below to give you a deal on Helium 10 if you don't use it. It probably is the best keyword tracker on the market that I've used, so I definitely use it on a daily basis and recommend it. But this is a targeted keyword that we literally decided to back off Amazon pay-per-click for this particular word and just dump Google Ads on it from the ad group I just showed. We did this around this date, and you can see what happened to the ranking afterwards. Is this exclusively Google Ads? Again, we're not perfect here. We don't know exclusively whether it was, but there's definitely directional attribution that we can say when we turn these Google Ads on, the ranking for this keyword that we were targeting increased. And this is an example of it. I think it's 4 today. And this is a keyword that's like 18,000 searches a month or something. So this is not a puny keyword. But you definitely want to be tracking and following your performance at the keyword level if they're part of your Google Ads campaigns. The final thing that you can do here is to optimize your bids. So if you remember, we did a manual CPC of $1. So we're going to go out the gate with that. You can do some customizations within the Google Ads platform to automate rules to decrease or increase bids depending on how you want your spend to get distributed with the campaign. So with this, you go to the dashboard, you go to this keyword section, you go to the search keywords, and you just want to select all of these keywords here is what you want to do in that section. Then when you select that, it's going to have a bunch of different options for you to select from the dropdown. You're going to want to go to create an automated rule. Once you do this, you can do a bunch of different rules. In our case, we want to change the keyword bid. So we want to go up or down based on some rules that we want to implement for those selected keywords. So once you have this, change keyword bids, the first one I set up is to decrease the bids by a certain amount. So in my case, I like to do it at about 15%. And so what I'm saying here is I want to decrease the bids by 15%, no lower than 15 cents per click. So that's kind of the bottom. And then I want to select the keywords that are impacted. It's going to carry over from those ones that we selected in that toggle dropdown. And then you can select this little hourglass button here to set what condition you want this to be based on. In my case, I selected a click-through rate of less than 2% is when I want to reduce the bid amount. So when you click on this toggle, it's going to give you a bunch of different options. I clicked on performance and then I clicked on the CTR. So what I'm saying here, if the click-through rate's less than 2%, based on the previous day, so I selected the previous day here. You can do previous week, you can do other periods. I think previous day is the most effective. Decrease the bid by 15%. So that's the first automation I set up, is to decrease the bids when the click-through rate is less than 2%. You want to save that automation. Go back in, do the exact same thing. except you want to increase bids with this one. And I just do a 10% increase just to kind of slowly stair step it up. The upper bid limit is I don't want to spend any more than $4 on the CPC. Select the keywords again, and then on this one I just did a CTR greater than 5%. So if I'm seeing really good click-through rates, I'm telling Google, hey, I don't mind spending more in terms of the cost per click on this because I'm getting a lot of clicks through and a lot of impressions and ultimately sales ideally on my Amazon listing there. And that is the end of our bid automation. So that's it, guys. Nitty gritty. Again, I think harnessing the power of Google Ads and other external traffic sources is going to be a game changer for the few Amazon sellers that are willing to learn it, and for the few Amazon sellers that are willing to implement it into their Amazon brands. It's the most effective tool that I've seen lately to help drive rank, in addition to the other strategies I've talked about in my launch case studies. So this is the future. This is 2021 and beyond based strategies that I think can make you a more effective 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9-figure Amazon seller. Stay through, guys. I'm going to be doing more external traffic strategies in future videos. Next week, I'm going to dive into Pinterest ads, which for certain product categories are absolutely phenomenal and really, really inexpensive. So if you're not a subscriber to the channel already, click the subscribe down below, click the notification bell so you get notified precisely when we drop our weekly videos. I'm also going to dive into YouTube ads and other strategies to drive external traffic to your listing. So stick around, guys. This isn't the end. We're going to continue to bring the heat. We're going to continue to drop value bombs. This is Heist. Thank you for being here. You guys rock. Cheers.